Hour 2 Overdrive continues, brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Mike Johnson will join us here in a moment. Leafs coming off a loss in a shootout last night, back in action against Buffalo tomorrow.
I'm curious to hear Johnny's take.
Yeah, I'm curious about his take as well, because there's a lot of things that we got to ask him, right? Like, we'll get his take on the Marchand versus Liljegrenod, what he felt about the actual play in question, what he felt about the response, what kind of response would be expected from the bench. It was a scenario where even Montgomery, I guess you could have made a change there. It's a draw on the offensive end, 40 seconds left.
Stay out there.
But he goes, stay out there. Yeah, you stay out there. It's all good. They're not going to do anything.
He's not worried.
Yeah, exactly.
Not worried.
Not worried. They're not going to do anything to you. Don't worry. And even Pasternak threw a couple of big hits early in that game last night.
Crushing behind. He was.
Yeah, and
Frank DeChambeau texted me, and he's like, David Lindros out there, not Pasternak, Lindros.
Yeah, he pancaked Riley, and then he got Klingberg later in the period. And those are good hits. And, if you're a Bruin fan, you're ecstatic. Montgomery, if you're Pasternak. And those are not scenarios where I would expect anyone to say, I'm going to go tap him on the laces and suggest I got to do something. What I'd like to see there, and again, I keep asking for all these things that I don't think are going to happen. But that's where I'd love to see 34 come over the boards and say, I'm going to dump it in that corner and watch I'm about to do.
That's what the Leafs defenseman. That's what the Leafs defenseman would be thinking, guys. And you never want to call it out, forwards versus defense. But the Leafs defenseman might say, every time it comes in our corner, we have people trying to crush us through the glass. And how come you guys don't do it to them? Make their defense life miserable. At least something similar to what's happening to us. That would drive me nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Well, you can't be easy to play against. To me, that's an indictment. When teams are like, yeah, that's we're not worried. But you are worried, obviously, scoreboard. If you're okay, if we mess around, put them on the penalty or put them on the power play, they'll hit us. But there's teams where you used to play against, and this is where we're speaking our age, where it's you expected a war. You expected things to be tough. You expected, you're in one. And if you beat them, they'll still take a piece of you. I don't know if Boston felt like there was a piece of them taken last night.
So if we played the Dallas Stars back in the day with Hatcher, Matvichuk, Ludwig, and whoever else they had back there that was going to kill you. And then you'd look you'd go in the corner, punch in the face, throw it on the ground, kick you while you're down, slash you in the back.
Sean Chambers was there too. Yeah,
lunatics back there. And then their forwards would be dangling and toe dragging in our end. I'm like, guys, can you give a little bit back? Give a little back. I don't know. No, I always thought of it a bit like give and take. Okay, you want to do that to me? I'll try to run you through the boards then. That's all I got. I'm not going to fight you. I'm not going to fight Scott Stevens. I probably would have got my ass kicked. But every time Scott Stevens touched the puck, I tried to run him through the boards. Mm-hmm. That's all I had.
Right.
I'm not going to let you know that you can dominate what I'm doing out there, and I'm just not going to fight back. I'll try to run you through the boards.
Right.
If you're looking at me, I'm not going to hit you. But if you're not looking, I'll crush you.
And I'm sure he was expecting it, right? I'm sure guys like that would live by the sword would die by the sword, and they'd understand that's what's coming. And, okay, those are the rules of engagement. And I think that, again, is what is so frustrating, I'm sure. I don't know how Keefe feels about all this stuff. I don't know how Brad Treliving feels. I can't believe Brendan Shanahan would sit there and watch that last night and think, this is the team that I envisioned – not building based on talent, because, again, they're a really talented team. They're a good team. It's more just there are times that are going to pop up where you have to respond. Like in a physical sport, in a team sport, as I said last hour, you have to be irrational.
And respond different than a toe drag or power play goal.
Not like, hey, watch, I'm really going to get them, put me on the power play. Because that's what happens with the Leafs a fair amount, too, is bad plays happen, and the response is, where's the ref? That's two. Hey, ref, call that. Give me a 5-minute power play here, as opposed to, I don't care about the ref.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this vigilante justice into my own hands. And, we referenced the Braden Point, Morgan Riley dust-up last year, which was very similar in nature. Puck, dumped in deep, two guys skating at 1,000,000 miles an hour. There's engagement, point goes down. Immediately Tampa goes, I'm not waiting for Morgan Rielly to explain his side of the event. Like, I'm going to tell you what happened. Another example of being irrational is, remember the Corey Perry on John Tavares situation. This happened to include a Maple Leaf. That was a fluke accident, a completely fluke. Perry was looking the other way and John Tavares fell, and it was awful. Nick Foligno did not rationalize with Corey Perry.
No, he didn't. He said, I'm sorry, pal, that was my captain, and I'm fighting you no matter what.
Because a rational person would say, no, I understand that happened. I understand what happened. You weren't looking and he fell. But
I'm doing it anyway, so deal with it.
Because Nick Foligno was not. Nick Foligno was like, I'm going to be irrational because I'm sticking up for my guys. And our team is not going to be a team that ever just reasons with situations that happen that go against us.
That's a great example, Hayes.
And he dropped the gloves and said, you're going to pay it. And you could see Perry was talking to him. He's like, man, I'm telling you. And then Perry's like, all right, let's have a go. Like, your gloves are coming off.
I remember that exactly. And his exact words in the presser after were, I said to him, I know he didn't do it on purpose, but our captain just got stretchered off, and I'm going to fight you.
Totally irrational, but I love it.
Wasn't that in the 24
playoffs.
Prime or whatever? Yeah, no, it was in the playoffs. But what I'm saying is that conversation was on Mike on that Prime 24 or whatever the hell that was.
I believe you're right.
I remember listening or watching that because he was mic'd, or there were hot mics where he was like, it doesn't matter what happened, we're going.
I'm not listening to you. And that's in some capacity that should have happened last night. Sorry, Brad. I don't care that you believe you were just tying up. It doesn't matter to us. And yet it didn't. And I don't think Marchand looked over his shoulder the rest of the night. Here's Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Title Hotline. We've been talking about it for an hour, the Liljegrenod-Marchand situation. We'll get to the play itself in a moment, but everyone wants a discussion on the response. That's what Leaf fans are talking about today, or the lack thereof. Where do you stand on it and how it played out last night?
Yeah, it's understandable, really. And if you think about this beyond, we'll get to the hit eventually, but I've well been on record. A response is not going to change Boston. It's not going to change Brad Marchand. The response is for Toronto. The response is for your own team.
Right.
Not to punish Marchand, not to intimidate him next time. Is to remind everyone in your group, by whoever does it or everyone who does it, that we are in this together and we will always respond collectively to anything that happens to anyone, whether it was fair or not, dirty or not. And that doesn't always have to be like, you can't have Mitch Marner running out there to fight Brad Marchand. That's not what he does. It's not a good idea. But in the moment, you can always have the other four guys on the ice circle the wagons and get after Brad Marchand. You can always have, like, the next face-off, put Max Domi on there if Ryan Reeves is too big and too tough to do it, which is kind of a bit of the problem with Ryan Reeves is he's so tough that there are certain guys he can and cannot fight just because. But Max Domi can fight anybody, and Tyler Bertuzzi can fight anybody. And if those guys were brought in specifically, this is not just a conversation of the making of the fans overreacting, right? This is a conversation that is born out of the comments from the general manager. Mm-hmm. When he brought these players in, they were brought in to provide what? Snot? Was that not the word he said?
That was the word, yes.
That was the word. So grease, grit, physicality, snot, whatever you want to call it, was for that exact moment. And I think everyone would be kidding themselves if they thought those moments won't happen because those guys are on the team. It's more about they're going to happen, and then what are you going to do about it? And that doesn't mean, players that don't fight have to fight. Lord, no, I did not fight virtually ever in my career. I couldn't do it. It wouldn't work. But, you had team and teammates that would do it, and I think it's better for the group, especially given the history of the conversation around this team and their best players, that they don't always push back physically because they always just turn the other cheek and play and try to win the game. And I don't know if Sheldon Keefe said, guys, focus on the game. That might have been one of those ones where, he said focus on the game. Focus on the game, I'm going to go take Brad Marchand, and I'm going to force him to fight. And if we get an instigator and we get scored on the power play, sometimes you lose the battle to win the war. The greater message sent is we're in it, and we're going to do it every time. And that's going to start today.
Johnny, do you think that it would be discussed? Because Brian mentioned it off the top of the show. It's just not in their DNA. and it all reflects on, like, the vibe is about the best players and what they do. Like, do you think this would ever be discussed on the back of the plane or before practice? Like, hey, guys, this can't happen again? Is it just not the way they view it?
You know what? I'm trying to picture that conversation, and who would lead it? Who would spark that conversation?
Well, the weird thing is that you would think it might be one of the new guys, but one of the new guys is one of the ones that didn't do anything. So it's like,
shouldn't it be the captain? Like, wouldn't it be the captain? Isn't this the definition of an example of why you even have one? Like, what's the point of John Tavares having the C on his jersey if he wouldn't drive that conversation?
But because he's part of, he's wired to. It's hard to be like, hey guys, we gotta respond physically every single time, and then when he's not willing to do it, right?
Well, that's
so it gets a little harder for
kind
him
of the issue here.
Yeah,
right. But like, not everyone has to do it. But yeah, I think it'd be more likely if Ryan Reeves, if he's such a presence in the locker room and so comfortable and like kind of ingratiating himself into everything that's going on in the room, that might be, and not in a confrontational way, but like more like a, hey, let's get together and figure this out collectively. Okay, when something like this happens, what are we thinking about? What do we want to do here? What do we want to do as a team? Like, I know. Listen, he's a fourth line player. He doesn't play a lot. He doesn't make a lot. He doesn't score ever. But in this sort of conversation, maybe at least he could start it. Because if you're one of the guys who is inclined not to respond, it's a very difficult, no matter whether you're wearing a C, the leading scorer, the best player. If you don't do it, it's hard to say, what are we going to do here, guys? Like, everyone would look at you like, well, what are you going to do? Because clearly you didn't do anything. So it's not as easy as it seems. But I always cite this one time as an example. I was playing in Montreal. I took a knee-on-knee hit from Matt Green. I was down there. I kind of picking myself up and slowly limping off. And is my knee okay? I was maybe 2 weeks on the team, and Sheldon Surrey chased this Matt Green down the ice, forgot the play, fought him, in sort of like standing up for me. And I tell you what, like, it means so much for the group, for me individually, when people do that. And I think that's the point of this. That's the point of the conversation. It resonates with the guys, Liljegren for sure, but everybody, to know that everyone's in it together. So yeah, that was, I'm you know what? I'm actually surprised. Like, I know it's Marchand and he's a superstar player, so it's a little bit trickier to try to, what are you going to do to him? But he's Brad Marchand. He's also been suspended like a half dozen times. So you can grab him and force him to do whatever, right?
We talked about it. Just make his life miserable the whole night. Like, dummy him every time he touches the puck.
Right.
Face wash.
Whatever, yeah.
Yes. Every time he skates by the bench, squirt him with the water, spit on him, yell at him, whatever it is.
I know.
Like, just not spit on him. Everything but spitting on him. But, like, yes. Like, that one scene. And also, I don't know if you guys have talked about it. Have you seen the clip where Tyler Bertuzzi is, like, smiling?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that looks bad, right? That looks bad. But I think what he was smiling at was like, not how, look at my great former teammate friend. It's more, look at this donkey. Like the kind of shaking his head in disbelief as opposed to shaking his head as, I don't care. Is how I would want to interpret that. Not that Tyler Bertuzzi with the chin strap undone had checked out and didn't care about what was going on. More like, can't believe this guy just did that. I would hope.
Yeah, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt as well, because we don't know what was said, the context of it as well. But, Johnny, I think you make a great point of all of this is the Boston Bruins aren't changing the way they play. This is more about the Toronto Maple Leafs and how they want to play, how they want to send a message to the league. Because, as we know, it's a small league. Everyone talks. So, you're sitting at home watching that game or watching the highlights of that and going, okay, what's the response? Well, there's no response. Okay, we know playing against that team, we can play a certain way. And to me, those are the types of things where you almost have to send a ripple effect throughout the league. It's locker room conversation the next day in Minnesota or in Tampa or whatever. So you see what happened in Boston last night? Like, that's the type of stuff, because the league talks, the guys talk. You guys know it's a small league and everybody has somebody on another team. There's going to be like, hey, why didn't you guys do anything, or what's going on there? Like, that's the type of stuff. It reverberates right through the league.
And wouldn't the conversation be, same old Leafs, even though that, right or wrong, like, that's what would be said this morning. Didn't do anything, no pushback, just like that, that sort of narrative that I don't think is correct at all, but that is out there about Toronto. And Hayes, you know what? Maybe I was just thinking about who would start this conversation. You know who might have to start it if they're going to have one? Mm-hmm. The general manager. Clearly this is part of how he wanted to build his team to have different elements, including elements that would react in a situation like this. And whether it's Brad Treliving to Sheldon to the group, or Treliving to the leadership group to the team, or just Treliving straight to the team. Some chant like him saying, like, guys, this is not what we do. This is not what we do. And I don't care about the extra instigator. I don't care about a guy getting kicked out of the game. If some one of our guys goes down on a hit that is questionable in any way, shape, or form, we react. First on the ice, everyone goes. Whether, like, you could be whoever is the smallest, least likely to fight them. Whoever's Mike Johnson on the ice, you got to go too. Everyone's got to pile in there every time to start, and then we'll sort it out from there. But the other part of it, like, Max Domi and Tyler Bertuzzi specifically, I'm not saying they had to fight. And, like, Lord knows they're tough and they would do it. But part of the reason why they're so important is that they can also play. Like, the idea of on the road, getting Ryan Reeves out there trying to run around after Brad Marchand, that's not going to work well for Toronto and the Bigs. Like, he's never going to catch him, never going to fight him, and they're not, they're probably going to get scored against. But Max and Tyler Bertuzzi, like, they can play against him, and they're small enough that they can fight him or engage with him, and it's not going to be like, what are you doing? You're doing exactly what you want to do. And I thought that would have been an opportunity that they would have taken. I was a little surprised. And again, not questioning for a second anyone's toughness at all. Just, I don't know what the message was from Keefe, but I'm surprised it wasn't stronger.
Yeah, like, I'm curious where Sheldon Keefe comes in on all that myself, because he was barking at Marchand himself, yet the rest of the bench was relatively quiet outside of Reeves. And he's pretty intense behind the bench.
Yes, he is.
And Keefe was no shrinking violet as a player. Like,
he played tough
as a player.
That's what I'm
You're
saying.
right.
Like, I find it hard, and I don't know this obviously, but I find it hard to believe his message would be, cool your jets, guys. Let's just play and get 2 points.
Beat them on the scoreboard only.
I can't picture it. I just can't. I can't see it. And yet, this is where they're at. And you mentioned Bertuzzi, and regardless of what he was or wasn't doing on the bench, the fact that he was on it and stapled through it a lot is more about what's driving that conversation right now, because he's found his way into Sheldon Keefe's doghouse. And Keefe said after the game, basically, he wasn't following the game plan, so he didn't play. I don't know how strict he is that with other players that aren't following the game plan, but 10 games in, and Bertuzzi's moved from the top line to the second line. He was playing with the fourth line. He's been benched 2 games in a row. Like, where are you at with this guy, and why has it been such a difficult transition for him?
Yeah, so first of all, like, there's always a little bit more leeway on the game plan for the players who produce. But if you're not going to produce, then you better stick to it. And I think for Bertuzzi, he has been a little bit injured, which has made it more difficult for him to move around the ice and get to where he wants to go.
Then don't play until you're healthy, because you know the deal, Johnny. Your judge is 100% when you put the jersey on.
Fair enough, though. But they don't. They like the way the NHL is now. You can't not play him because you can't dress enough people to dress a roster. Like, the cap is what it is with his $5 million on the sidelines. They basically can't dress a team. So
that's
either going to LTIR.
Problem.
That's a whole other issue altogether. But you know what I mean? Like, he's kind of being forced to play because he has to. But you're right. Listen, you're good enough to play. You're going to be good enough to be judged as though you're healthy. But I don't think he quite is. The other part about it, he's not sniffing first power play, nor should he at all. But the idea that he's going to get really quality touches on the power play, it's not happening. Marner and Matthews, which we thought it was going to be just a seamless transition, they weren't doing it 5-on-5, so he wasn't getting anything 5-on-5, which exacerbated some of his issues. But, if you're not scoring, part of the reason why he's here is that he plays hard. He plays physical. He's a pain in the butt. And all that stuff has also been a little bit absent. So it's, Sheldon Keefe, every time a new team player is signed, the coach is inclined to want to give that new player the benefit of the doubt, a long leash as far as what they can get away with, and patience, because they want the organization to look smart for signing them. So it takes a lot to go in 3 weeks from the first line to, essentially not playing during a really important game against your former team and biggest rival right now in the standings for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not been good. And, like, Noah Gregor we like, what he does, but he's not going to, like, you're getting bumped in front of Noah Gregor, who's not going to score an awful lot. The Leafs are desperate for anything depth scoring-wise beyond their big four forwards, and you're supposed to be the guy, and it's got to the point where they're not even playing you. That's a pretty steep fall that they have to climb out of, and they need him to climb out of. That's the other part. It's not like the Leafs can say, you know what, we can let him languish there and send a message. They need the production that he is supposed to be giving, and they're not going to be a really good team until they start getting it throughout their lineup. It can't just be the big guys.
Johnny, what do you think of Kampf taking the face-off in overtime? Give me your professional thought.
Yeah. Okay, so I get the philosophy behind it. He's not having a great year in the face-off circle. So the idea that he's going to go out there to win the draw and get off, it falls a little empty because he's not winning draws.
No.
That's
a bit of a concern there.
That's the big problem. If your face-off, get-off guy never wins the face-off so he can get off, then he's just a face-off defend guy, and you don't want that. I do understand also, though, if he loses it, let him go out there and waste his energy, defending, retrieving the puck, and then getting off so that the guys who want to use their energy to try to score can go out there.
What about the big dog philosophy? Just fire him out there. Draw, win, draw, loss, draw. Just go hunt it down and rip it home. I don't know. Go ahead, Johnny.
The way 3-on-3's played, if it's Matthews and Marner and they lose the draw, they're going to spend 90 seconds chasing the puck around, never touch it, never get a chance to score. That's what teams will do. But I would be more inclined. I know Tavares, maybe you want him on the fly. He is by far your best face-off guy, by far. He's also a really good player that would play in overtime anyways. You know what? How about we split the difference, though? You put out Tavares and Nylander. You two go. You're 64% on the face-offs of the year. Go win the draw. Don't chase it. Make good plays because you're good players. Let's roll with our best. That seems like a compromise between face-off importance, but also go with your best players. Because a few times in a row now, when they don't win it, which has been seemingly every time they go to overtime, they lose that first face-off, then he's just stuck out there wasting a minute and a half with players that you probably wouldn't play in the overtime anyways.
We have Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. So the Edmonton Oilers lost again last night. I'm sure you're aware of this, Johnny.
Yeah.
And, they lost 4-3. They came alive in the third. There's 25 shots on net. Scott Wedgwood. But Dallas was on the back end of a back-to-back. They were leading 4-1 at that point. I'm not sure what to make of a great third period where Sam Gagner scored both goals, actually, which is a really cool story. But they lose. They lose again in reg. And, we did the hashtag, it's only one game, but when they lost 8-1 in Vancouver, now it's been a number of games.
It's only 10 games.
Hashtag, it's only 10 games. But Edmonton's 2-6-1, the worst. I guess they played 9 games. The worst start of the McDavid era in Edmonton. Not good, man. Are you still buying that they'll dig out of this and contend for a cup, or are you starting to change your mind on that?
I'm going down with the sinking ship.
Okay.
I'm not jumping.
All right.
Yeah. I still think the two most important pieces of that team are what? The play of McDavid and Draisaitl at 5-on-5 and the power play.
I think you can go right in. No. Go to a goalie. When is it just time to say we got to go get a different goalie? It's
you need a critical save.
What?
You can't.
What do you mean Well, find one. You need a goalie to make a save for you. You got the two best players in the world skating 100 miles an hour around out there. You need a guy to make a save. And if they keep not making saves, there's no chance in hell you can win with it. I don't know.
Fair enough. But you said the two best players in the world, they haven't played that way so far. That's also that part. And I'm not blaming them, but they haven't been the best players in the world.
They could be better. Yeah.
They'll likely get better, and they'll likely get to what they usually do.
Yes, you probably trust them to get it back on the rails more than the goaltenders to all of a sudden become 9-15 goaltenders. Fair enough. And I guess I'd say, well, when they do that, maybe the goaltenders, they won't have to be quite as good because Edmonton will start scoring 4 goals in a game instead of just 2. And maybe they also improve just a little bit. But yeah, the Duchesne shot, I'm not a goalie noodles, but there's a lot of room between those legs by Stuart Skinner.
There is. Guys, I put it, sorry, Johnny, I put it in the group chat. It's deflating, and you watch all 9 games. The 8-1 was a throwaway. The next night, DeSmith. like stood on his head. Like you can't just go, oh, they got goalied every night. Like DeSmith was awesome the next night because I thought the Oilers were the better team against Vancouver on the Saturday night, but they lost. And then you go, like at some point, your goaltender has to win that battle. We've talked about it here in Toronto. Joseph Woll comes in against Tampa, and I thought he made some critical saves to deliver, the points in Tampa. Sometimes your goaltender just has to. They can't be the reason like that you're off kilter a little bit. Like last night, you're right, Brian.
When the goalies are junk, it seems like every time your goalie's junk, the other guys, whatever, the backup or not, is Hasek in his prime. It's like, why is this that every guy that we play against, when our guys are junk, they're Hasek in their prime? It's so frustrating.
Not the best.
Yeah, I mean, the Oilers are not the 95 Devils defensively either, right? Like, they were a disaster.
No, they make some big mistakes. They make some big errors. They're not getting bailed out by their goaltending. They're not getting bailed out by their goal scorers. And I think the easiest thing to clean up is not fixing the goaltending, because it is what it's going to be. Is to clean up that defense. Like some of those decision-making moments is just they got to stop shooting themselves in the foot and give themselves a chance. But, it's like I guess it's worse in Calgary, but not much. It's,
based on points, it's the same.
It's the same. Right? And the idea that, Edmonton was going to relaunch their season on the outdoor win.
No.
For 2 periods, not even. And Sam Gagner, you're right, awesome story in the way the rink responded to him. Great stuff. But he can't be the guy riding to the rescue. I mean, it's got to be the guy.
Go, Johnny. Go Canucks, go.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch, Joe. They are fun to watch.
They're 10 points up on Calgary and Edmonton.
You know what, guys? Like, in looking at them, I'm doing their game on Thursday. Like, we forget that they've got some depth up front now. Like, Connor Garland. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Connor Garland is on their third line. Like, you've got Mikheyev back
down there.
Beauvillier, like there's some players there where you're like, okay, I forgot that guy was on the team. Like JT Miller, Brock Besser, Pedersen, Garland. They picked up that Suter kid who's a pretty good player, Beauvillier. Like they all of a sudden have some depth, but it comes back to it. Star power: Demko, Hughes, and Pedersen.
Yep.
There you go.
Great starts from all three.
Miller, Besser. Hey, and how about the fact that it's not going to change like Sam Lafferty's been pretty good there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you think about all the stuff that Toronto's getting nothing down their lineup, and Sam Lafferty's gone down to Vancouver and been impactful. Killed penalties, which Toronto has struggled with. Added speed, physicality, and scored some goals. All things that Toronto could probably use a little bit more of on the bottom end of their lineup.
Yeah,
true.
That's very valid. But
Lafferty revenge game. I didn't think I'd be saying that.
Lafferty, Daniel. Vancouver 7-2-1. They're the pace car in Canada right now, and it's Toronto and the Habs that are right behind them. How about Arizona trolling Slavkovsky online?
Oh, that's harsh.
Like that.
I don't know. Hey, I would love to be in the marketing meeting. I don't know who's ever in charge of the social accounts, and I get it's a new age, and they can be edgy. They don't worry about anyone's feelings, and it clicks, and they don't really care. But when does a team say, listen, we're also an organization in this league, and we don't want to be taking shots at other players in this league? Like, I understand the meme with the McMahon, he's crying, and it's like when you take Slavkovsky over Cooley at number one. Like, I get it, you're pumping your own guys' tires, but it's at the expense of a 19-year-old kid who's going through a really hard time, who's part of one of the other organizations in this league. I don't know. I'm okay with it, but I just wonder, do they ever say, should we actually do this, or maybe just pull this one back?
Well, but you know why? The problem is the people in charge of the social media, they're 21-year-old jackasses.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not they're not part of management. That's not that's not Bill Armstrong tweeting that out. I guarantee you he could not tell you. If you called Bill Armstrong right now and said, "Who put that tweet out for your organization?" He'd be like, "I don't know."
No.
Some intern that works in the front office. It was a volunteer.
But it worked. I mean, listen, there's no self-awareness. They're playing at a college arena.
Right, yeah, right.
Dude, that's the new game now.
Montreal.
Yeah.
That's the new game.
The Habs have 24 cups, and they're getting chirped by the Arizona State University Coyotes.
That's the new game, Hayes. The other day, Buffalo beat Colorado, and then the Sabres Twitter account put a Halloween costume loser on the Colorado guy. It was like the Buffalo Sabres did that. Nobody cares anymore.
No self-awareness. Like none whatsoever.
Zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's really
It's all
funny.
good. Who cares? All right, Johnny. Well, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do, man? You turn the
listen,
page.
I'll end it this way for the weekend, boys.
Okay.
Hazy B,
Yes.
you're a lefty. I've never seen a more athletic and more unathletic comparison side by side. You look like you're 85 shooting righty, trying to play a Tom Lehman-like power hook to get 10 more yards.
Yeah.
You look like you're an ex-athlete playing left-handed that might be able to move the ball around. And two, more importantly, Samsonov was pretty damn good last night.
Yes, he was.
And that's a good thing for Toronto.
That's important. Samsonov was good last night.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny. We'll leave it on a high note.
That's
2 high
it.
notes. Thank you. Mike Johnson, our hockey analyst, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Let you guys in on a little secret. I played a couple holes left-handed today.
How'd it go?
You were awesome.
Fairway and reg, green and reg, green and reg. It was like butter cut, 240 off the tee, 6-iron, long, landed middle of the green, ran over a little bunt chip, missed the putt because I suck putting, even though I've always putted left, which is outrageous. And 11 at Coppenwood, that's a really tough. It was into the fan. I hit a 3 hybrid to like 15 feet.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Left-handed.
You get in the sim all winter
I
as
know.
a lefty. You're coming back as Phil Mickelson.
I think I
People are going to call you Phil.
I know. Philly
I
B.
love it.
I'm
And
Philly
you know
B.
what? You can actually one of these days say thank you because you've uncovered a star.
I know.
No, you said that you wouldn't, though. You said
well,
that
I can't. I can't accept it, Noodles.
But even said yesterday. It's like I won't even bring it up.
I told
And
you
he'll
that's
bring it
all he
up.
cares about. He doesn't care about my golf game or what my index is or anything. This guy just wants me to bow down on his feet and say thank you.
Dude. I want you to be a 3 handicap next summer. And if you're a lefty, you are a 3 handicap.
I think I
we
might
are moving
be.
in the right.
I'm going to show you some videos. I'm going to post videos. I'll post them on Instagram. I might have to do TikTok for this because I have so many different angles and I was shooting. It was wild out there. Full updates online or later.
You went out and videoed
No,
yourself?
I didn't. I'll explain it. It wasn't me. I was playing with buddies. Anyway, I'll get into it a little bit later on. Dave Pullen still to come.
Loser.
Luke Wilson still to come. Dear Hazy B in an hour. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, TSN 1050's Leafs lineup. Your chance to win Leaf tickets every week all season long. Every weekday we'll announce a current or former Maple Leaf player. And on Fridays, which happens to be today, you'll have a chance to call in and name that Leaf. All right, the final Leaf of the Leaf lineup. Frankie Corrado. Our boy Frankie Corrado. There's your final Leaf of the week. Call in right now, 416-870-1050. 416-870-1050. The first one in to tell Doogie all 5 Leafs you're going to see Leafs Flames next Friday down at Scotiabank Arena. 416-870-1050. I have so many papers here. I'm looking for something, and I can't find it, but eventually I'll get to it. Because we got another giveaway a little bit later this afternoon, a Golf Town gift card. You got to tune in to find out how and when we're going to do that. So,
Doogie's
a lot going on.
about to get some heat back there if you don't find that paper.
It's all good. It's all good. Mail it in Fridays, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Canada's favorite sports bar. From touchdowns to tie bites and puck drops to pizza, BP's elite lineups of apps, wings, and ice cold beers. Always dialed in for game time. Hustle into your local BP tonight. Yeah, that's on me. I should know that. Doesn't matter if it's Doogie, the Grappler, JP. I got to know. I know that I could do that. I could recite that read in my sleep anyway. Boston Pizza, we do it all the time.
I know. Was there a look, though? Did you look behind the glass?
Well, yeah, I'm looking at Doogie right now. We're making eye contact. I'll have words with Doogie because it's his fault that I can't find a piece of paper. It can't be my fault. Obviously, it can't be my fault.
He has to have it laid out for you. That's why.
Right.
I mean, you're a busy guy.
I'm a busy guy.
Think of how you started your day. You're in a suit, and TSN handed you a mic for 7 minutes, and you just started yelling and screaming about the Leafs. I can't wait to go and watch it.
It's coming up at 6 o'clock on SportsCenter, and it'll be on YouTube. It'll be.
Is
on
it
TikTok.
a double whammy? That's what I want to know. Is it a double whammy? Did you just wheel right into the Raps right after?
No, I was doing that. I did something on the Hughes brothers I had a take on Slavkovsky. I was doing it all over there, man. I was
take on Slavkovsky. The tweet or just the kid?
Well, that was the launching pad was the tweet. Like, how ugly is I think they got to get him out of there. I don't think he should be playing in the NHL anymore.
You can put him in the minors.
That's what I'm saying. He hasn't scored a goal in 31 games. Like, he played 14 minutes last night. He didn't have a shot on net. He's getting trolled by Arizona. Not that that's why you make a decision, but like St. Louis had a comment last night. Like, it's not what he's doing with the puck. It's just that he has the puck. Like, what is this, house league? Like, you don't care what he's doing with the puck. You're playing in the National Hockey League.
Yeah. You got to get him the hell out of there and let him play 20 minutes a night down in Laval and get the puck, like, do something creative with the puck and score.
Right.
Because we've all seen guys. It starts like this. And then if it doesn't get better, you got a real problem on your hands. Right. So let them get down, get confident and comfortable before it gets out of hand and you've lost them.
That's right.
Because then you got a circus.
Keep in mind, there's no shame in that. It's not like the kid is 24. Mm-hmm. Kid's 19. Go let him play. He's eligible to play in the AHL, I do believe, right?
Yes, he is. He is.
So
he was last year. He went down last year.
Get him down. Give him a 10-game stretch.
No, Noodles. You say you're not coming back the rest of the year unless you've completely dominated down there.
Well, my point is from an evaluation standpoint. Get him away from the limelight. Mm-hmm. Get him away from Montreal and the expectations and the whispers and all of that, and Brian Hayes on SportsCenter yelling and screaming about him. Get him away from some attention and just let him go play. And see if he can just settle back in, get some confidence in his game. And there's no shame in that. And you have the luxury, because he doesn't have waivers, all that, he can come up. If you feel like he has a good week or a good couple weeks, it's like, you can bring him up for a stretch of games.
Yeah, sure.
The bottom line is you've got some flexibility there. The thing is Montreal has had a really nice start to their season. And, good for them. They play hard every night. They don't cheat.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's it. Like, if you have you can't marry development with trying to win games every night. There's veterans on that team. I think Brendan Gallagher is thinking, wow, I hope he does something cool with the puck tonight. Like, that's obviously not their priority at this point.
No, that league's about you better be able to do the job or you got to go do it somewhere else.
That's right.
Nobody has time for anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dave Pullen on that and more in about 25 minutes. Dear Hazy B at 6:30. Luke Wilson coming up. The beginning of an immaculate week started last night. Hayes and company with maybe the toughest game of the year. Pittsburgh at home against the Titans. What a win. What a cover. There will be more
Stop
picks.
with your memes. The stupid memes.
Mini me? That's my guy.
Like,
how many wins for Hayes and company this week? 6. 6.
I got to give you credit. Your meme game is good.
It's coming on strong.
I generally have a coffee and I have a laugh, so I'll give you
coming on strong. All right, Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, so Kenny Pickett, Steelers found a way to win a game last night, and they've been finding ways to win all year. I saw this earlier this afternoon, Adam Schefter tweeting out, at 5-3, the Steelers are the 34th team since 1933, when rushing and receiving stats were first tracked, to be outgained in each of their first 8 games of a season. They're the only one of those that has a winning record. In other words, the other team rushes better, they pass better, and it doesn't matter because the Steelers find a way to win.
They got another problem, what I call an NFL problem. Do you know what that could be?
Is it the George Pickens story? Is that what you're seeing online?
Unfollowing the Steelers, unfollowing Pickett, unfollowing Tom.
Idiocy. Guy's in his second year. He had drops last night, multiple drops last night. And, it's so goofy to be doing the unfollow thing.
It's such
I cut him immediately, but that's probably what he wants. That's probably what he wants.
We found earlier you muted Luke Wilson online. You basically did the same thing.
Must have, I would never see the video.
Yes, you muted him.
Although Joe from the Bridge said that it was just sent to OverDrive and to me.
Right.
Why was it only sent to me?
Well, because he mentions you by name because he was trying to, he's trying to make sure you're happy because he knows you hate bikers.
I don't hate bikers. That's the wrong message.
Here's Luke Wilson. What's happening, Luke?
Okay, let's get to a couple of things. We got a lot to unpack here. First and foremost, yesterday in the cycling conversation, I do run the odd red light, so that's why I tagged Noodles, was because he was very upset about the red light.
Right.
Fair enough.
Okay. I like it.
And today there was a few where it was very safe for me to run, but I'm like, you know what? Noodles said something. He said he hates this. Not that it's affecting anyone, but I'm just going to take a chill today.
Good man.
So that's why Noodles got the tag.
Appreciate that.
I was not expected to be attacked by a leaf blower on today's ride. That was a bit of a strange one.
What kind of lunatic is out there with a leaf blower looking to pick fights with a guy who's won a Super Bowl and played in the NFL? Like that guy, you might want to avoid him.
I didn't think you could blow I didn't think you were supposed to blow leaves onto the main road. Or is that not a thing?
It should. It's kind of. Yeah, it's not good curbside appeal, man. You're not supposed to do that.
Oh, you could do it in Etobicoke, man. There's a big machine that comes by in the fall, and he just gobbles everything up. Get it out there. Get it off your property.
Well, maybe that's a good idea. I need to look into that. I don't think we have access to that out by our place. But anyway, all right. Well, listen, I had a great night last night. Let's call it what it was. That Steelers game.
I will say it's the best pick you've had all year.
It was a good pick.
It's
a
the
tough
best
game.
pick you've had all year.
Yes, thank you. And it was a win. And now, what am I, dash 6? I'm 6 back of you guys. And
you're still not close at all.
But that's fine. We got 5 more games this week. And as I said last night in the group chat, I intend on going 6-0. And then all of a sudden, the tables are going to turn because this is when the real teams start to actually perform, and that's precisely what I plan on doing. You guys are going to kickstart the party here, all right? Because we got 4 big games here. Dolphins, Chiefs laying 1.5 on FanDuel. Who are you taking and why?
We're taking the Dolphins. And for me, I feel great about this.
So do I, Party.
Phenomenal.
That is a veteran call. Explain.
Yeah. So you look at the Dolphins this year and the 2 losses they've sustained, and both of them they struggled to run the football. So I look at this offense, and I don't think it's as much of a run and gun, like let's throw it 50 times a game style offense. I think it's establish the run, and then all of a sudden, when the teams have to respect the run, they can just light up the scoreboard. And you look at Kansas City's defense, which has played well, they've been good, but they have not been great against the run. I want to say they're like 11th. Bottom half, 11 of yards per rushes. Last week, Denver got after him a little bit. So I think Miami will run the ball a little bit. On the flip side, we've all seen the struggles offensively. And if all of a sudden this team, Pacheco, on the flip side, I'm talking about Kansas City now, Pacheco has really hid some of it because he's been a pretty stout runner for them. Now all of a sudden, if Miami gets up 14-3, and Mahomes has to sling it 60 times, I mean, he's obviously going to score points as Patrick Mahomes, but he's not operating at the same level that he has been in the past because his receivers are, quite frankly, letting him down. So I like Miami here. I think we take the points. It's in Germany. I really like the idea of Miami.
Okay, so you're giving me Mahomes coming off a loss and Mahomes in Europe. This is like when the Dream Team went there in '92. Do you think Michael Jordan was going to lose a game in Europe? Do you know how many Europeans are it's like pilgrims. They're walking to Frankfurt to see the great Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes was born in France or something?
I think
it's a good pick.
He's going to crush. All right, Seattle Ravens. I'm on the clock, and we got to be pretty quick here.
Be honorable here, Hayes. Googie, he's a youngster. He doesn't realize this is the layup of the week. Pick a different game. This is the layup of the week. No,
this is not the layup of the week because the Ravens might be the best team in football right now. And we saw what happened against Detroit 2 weeks ago. We saw what they just did 2 weeks ago against Detroit. They crushed the Lions. I think the Lions are as good as the Seahawks. I think this is telling me to take the Ravens. But I didn't love their performance last week, even though they won big. I still think Seattle's a good team. I don't love they're going across the country, but I'll use your Lions logic, even though I thought it was the worst pick possibly of the year. I'm going to take the points here. I'll go Seattle plus 5.5. And I love that it burns you. All right, Cowboys, Eagles. Eagles laying 3 at home. Battle of the NFC East. Who do you like and why?
Philadelphia.
Yes. Yeah, that's the play. I agree with you.
Philadelphia's going to come in here and they're going to run the football. They're going to throw the football. A.J. Brown's at a different level right now, and I just simply don't trust Dak in a big moment to throw and not make a turnover in a crucial ordeal. And on the flip side, I don't think they're going to run the ball very well, so a lot of this offense is going to rely on Dak Prescott throwing the ball. We got the Eagles, baby.
Okay, you guys are on the Eagles. I think that's the right play. I expect the Eagles to roll there. All right, Bengals, Bills, Sunday night. I can't figure this line out. because it's Bengals -1.5. I am all over Cincinnati here. All over them. I think the way Joe Burrow performed last week at the Niners, coming out of a bye, they had a slow start. They always start slow. Relax. That's the word of Joe Burrow. That was the word of Aaron Rodgers. The Bills, they're a good team, but I think you look at the amount of takeaways that Bengals defense, they're top 5 takeaway team in football. I think Burrow puts up numbers. I think he protects the ball. And I think Allen ends up going hero at some point and throws at least a pick, if not more. I expect the turnover game to go towards Cincinnati. I think it'll be plus on the Bengals side of things. I think that offense is cooking. The run game's cooking. I love it. I love the Bengals. Maybe play of the year. Bengals -1.5 Sunday night.
You forgot my guy. They just traded for Rasul Douglas.
Yeah, I don't even know if he's playing. I don't even know if he's going to play.
Doesn't matter. You know Buffalo plays well against good teams. It's the bad teams they don't play well against. Come on, Hayes.
Listen, on the road, man, you know the Bengals are better than the Bills right now. They're better than the Bills. The Bills have been dealing with injury problems. I think the Bengals are starting to. I think after Sunday night, we're going to be thinking Bengals should be the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I really do. I think the Bengals are going to get to a point here. That's how good they are. That's how deep they are. They're well coached at home.
They couldn't get a first down 3 weeks ago, and now they're the favorites to win the Super Bowl.
Did you see what they did in San Francisco last week?
Thank you, O-Dog.
Did you see what they did?
I get it.
Joe Burrow's healthy. That's your boy. Burrow's going to be a rock star.
Calm down with that kind of talk. That's ridiculous.
Bengals big Sunday night. All right, there you go. Those are the picks. They're in. Best of luck. Best of luck this weekend to Team Owen Wilson. All right, buddy.
Appreciate that.
You got it. There you go. Salute? No salute? All right, no salute.
I don't see him, so what the hell?
Okay, no salute. Thank you, Luke. There's Luke Wilson, TSN NFL analyst, one half of Team Owen Wilson. Final hour coming up. Dave Pullen will join us. Dear Hazy V as well. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.